Hey guys, Dr. Shook here. I hope you're doing well. In this video, what I want to talk to you guys about is something that I learned, and it's going to be very likely shocking to many of you because it was actually surprising to me. And what I did was I attended a course on food sensitivity and hormones. And one of the we talk, obviously about food and food sensitivities, and so a lot of times we're talking about how foods trigger immunological responses, or they'll basically stimulate the immune system and can promote inflammatory processes, right? They can promote autoimmunity is one of the most common themes that we discuss. So something came up that was very interesting. We were discussing salt, and we were talking about some of the physiology and some of the things that are known to flame or stimulate the immune system. And one of the things that salt will do is it will promote the T helper 17 system. Okay, now that's in a group of immune cells, and you don't want the T helper 17 system stimulated more than it needs to be. Okay, so one of the things that salt does is that it stimulates that T helper 17 system. So it was very surprising to me because I wasn't aware of this inflammatory component the salt, the sodium molecule contained, or that doesn't contain, but that it can stimulate within the body. So one of the things that, one of the takeaways from that class was that, sea salt, like adding salt to food is probably not a good idea at all. And so many of us here are like, oh, use sea salt. Primarily, since I deal with Hashimoto's and autoimmunity, almost, my entire practice is revolves around that. One of the most common things is we tell people to move to sea salts or these other salts that are not iodized, because the excessive iodine that you can get from table salt and then just the food supply can be enough to actually be a stimulant or a trigger for Hashimoto's or a Hashimoto's flare. And there's tons of documentation on how iodine can be a trigger for autoimmunity and also for Hashimoto's and flaring Hashimoto's. So we remove it, even though that's contrary to what a lot of people have been told and taught. But there's tons of literature on this. There's so much literature on it that it's really not debatable anymore. Like, restricting iodine is actually can be beneficial. There's actually a study where they restricted iodine and people did better with Hashimoto's, and so we know that it's a problem. Okay, so you need iodine, but you need it in reasonable quantities, and you need it. It has to be consumed with other minerals and things like selenium that can be protective and that can help to neutralize some of the negative consequences of consuming iodine. But the high dose iodine is contraindicated with Hashimoto's. But so here's what I want to say. We talk about transitioning people to these types of salt, Himalayan salt, sea salt, whatever it might be, because and then there's all these benefits where people are like, well, it has the pink salt, right? It has minerals in it, so it's great for you. So put it all over your food, right? And use it because you do need salt and you do need sodium, but there's this inflammatory aspect of sodium itself. We know now that it promotes the Th17, or I just became aware of it, that it promotes the T helper 17 system, and that can cause a lot of tissue destruction and inflammation. So now my stance is different. I think you should not add additional salt to foods. I think that you should use like a salt substitute, like the potassium salts. I think that's very likely a better option for most people. And I think that in addition to that, people, the topic comes up, the issue comes up. Well, I use it to try and raise my blood pressure, and I've used it for that exact purpose, because one of the big issues that we find when people are hypothyroid or they have Hashimoto's is that they have decreased blood flow, right? Their hands are cold, their feet are cold, their tip of their nose is cold, and the question becomes, well, like, how do we improve that? Like, how can we improve circulation? So that is something that there's a lot of things that influence circulation. But your sodium, your sodium and quantity of sodium is in your body is significant in your blood, because if your sodium's high, you'll retain more fluid. Okay, so if you retain more fluid, you tend to pump up the blood pressure. That's why, if you have heart disease, or you've had a heart attack, the doctors are very, they don't want you to add sodium to anything. And so what we've utilized it when we have people that have low blood pressure, and we tell them, consume more sodium, because it's very likely going to be helpful. And that may not be the best idea. I'm rethinking that. And what I also learned was, so instead of ingesting more sodium, maybe we can support decreasing sodium's clearance from the body rather than ingesting it and really creating and driving this more inflammatory process, right? So we can utilize different herbs to help us decrease clearance of sodium from the body. So maybe we can retain enough sodium to improve blood pressure. Okay, so this is just something that was very it was unexpected. I'm glad to learn it. It does kind of make sense, because whenever I consume a lot of sodium, I don't feel good. I don't feel well when I consume more, and I can just, so intuitively, I think if I would have really paid attention to like how my body felt, and just like been more observant, instead of just saying, well, this is good for me, so obviously it's not the salt. If I would have been a little bit more observant, which I encourage you to do. I always encourage you to listen to your body, get to know your body. When you change something or you do something and you don't feel well, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. It's your body's talking to you. It's letting you know there's something not right, and you need to figure out what that is if you can. You need to investigate that. You need to observe if it's something that you're doing, if you're changing in your diet, so that you can you can figure it out. So you just got to be observant and listen to your body, trust your body. So anyway, sea salt may not be the best thing. It may not be the best thing, and I'm not going to recommend it anymore. I'm not going to recommend any kind of salt additives at all to food. If we're trying to improve blood pressure, I'm going to try to address it another way, and look at the overall physiology of the person and see if we can't optimize it and get some better responses through other systems, better endothelial nitric oxide responses. If we just have to take a lot of things into consideration for perfusion and blood flow and blood delivery. Okay, so anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you guys. This was really surprising to me. I've got all this these bags of this pink salt from the salt flats, from Himalayan sea salt, Hawaiian salt that's almost orange. Got all these salts, and here I am, just like you, right? We're learning every day, and I'm doing things, and then you start studying the physiology more and more and more, and more things are discovered, and you learn. And someone once told me, and I think it's a great saying: when you know better, you do better, right? So it's true. As we learn, we change our approach, and we try to do better. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions or need anything, just post comments below, let us know, and we'll do anything that we can to help you out. But I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks.